Hello, and welcome to the Feeling Good podcast, where you can learn powerful techniques to change the way you feel. I am your host, Dr. Rhonda Borowski, and joining me here in the Murrieta studio is Dr. David Burns. Dr. Burns is a pioneer in the development of cognitive behavioral therapy and the creator of the new team therapy. He is the author of Feeling Good, which has sold over 5 million copies in the United States and has been translated into over 30 languages. His latest book, Feeling Great, contains powerful new techniques that make rapid recovery possible for many people struggling with depression and anxiety. Dr. Burns is currently an emeritus adjunct professor of clinical psychiatry at Stanford University School of Medicine.
Sunny reached out to David and to Jill to ask to do some personal work. And before you dive into the personal work, I want to introduce Sunny, who is a dear friend of mine and of David and Jill's. And I just want to say that Sunny is an amazing person. He's warm and loving and generous. He's a wonderful friend, and he has a very wicked sense of humor that all of his friends really enjoy. Sunny is remarkable. He went to UCLA, where he earned a Bachelor of Science in Engineering. Then he went to Stanford University, where he earned a master's degree in management. And then he worked in the tech industry for 20 years. But Sunny has been most passionate and the happiest since he attended Cal State East Bay, where he earned a master's degree in social work. And since earning that degree, he's worked with populations of the most vulnerable people. Sunny currently works in his own private practice, and he works with low-income people who are on Medicaid. He offers a sliding scale for people who can't afford his fee but don't receive Medicaid. What we're talking about today is that Sunny, and probably many people who are listening today, Sunny is extremely stressed by the challenges facing the communities that he serves. Immigrants, low-income people, people with disabilities, and LGBTQ plus people. Sunny's also deeply concerned about the increasing hardships people face and about the broader decline of human rights around the world. And one thing about this is that Sunny wants to communicate his wish for this is to be about healing and treatment, not about politics, because his goal for this podcast and doing the personal work is to help himself and others heal through this process and not get distracted with the politics. So welcome, Sunny. Thank you for coming onto this podcast and volunteering to do personal work about this very moving subject.
Thank you, Rhonda. I must admit I'm a little nervous about talking about my vulnerability and my sadness to the community. I'm also very learning to be more showing and doing more compassionate work, as my life has been very well, thanks to many different works I've done in the past, including with David and Jill and Rhonda. Now I want to figure out how I can help others too. I feel safe being with all three of you, my friends, my mentor. And I can be funny, although right now I'm a little bit more subdued because whenever I mention these topics, I feel very sad and feel very anxious and a little angry too. Yeah, and worried. Yeah.
Is that why you reached out to David and Jill to do this work? Because you're feeling sad and anxious and worried?
Yes. I want to do something about it because I want to honor these emotions. I was a little scared, like many people I talked to, about talking about the subject because we see a lot of repercussion from other people. I also came from Hong Kong, where they were pretty much shut down after, like, if I call my relative and friends over there, they can't talk about anything political. Like, if you ask them a question, then they just pretend they don't hear it. So I'm not trying to be political, but I want to speak how I feel. I want to discuss about how some people are hurt and educate on how to have our own view and at the same time be more loving. And I'm also processing it because I feel a little stuck. That's why I'm reaching out to my 3 mentors on how to manage it. Yeah. I'm generally happy, but whenever this subject comes up, I switch. And I know there's a place for compartmentalization, but I also want to make sure I'm not avoiding it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't know, David, Jill, and Rhonda, maybe you have something to say. That's why I'm doing this personal work, because I actually procrastinate about doing it till last night because it's very unpleasant dealing with this. I don't watch news anymore. I just look at the Apple News summary, so I know what's going on, so I can protect myself and other people. But I heard, because my clients are being deported. My clients are worried that they can't get certain medication. Some of my friends who are gay have HIV. Their children have HIV, are afraid that they will cut that. So it may not be true, but the fear is there, and I want to figure out how I can help, how we can help. Yeah.
So, David, do you want me to jump in, or did you want to start?
Yeah, sure, Jill. Yeah, jump right on board. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, Sunny, I'm so honored that you included me in the 3 people you wanted to work with on this. It's true that we're all colleagues and care deeply about each other, and all human beings, and we reach out to each other when we're suffering. So I'm glad to be a part of your crew here. And yeah, I'm hearing you saying that you've been feeling sad and anxious and worried. And also, feeling a little reluctant and nervous about talking about this subject of your fear and anxiety, and worry, about, your patients, your friends, yourself, it sounds like. And, I'm also hearing you saying that you feel a little bit torn because there's part of you that's feeling like it makes a lot of sense to feel worried about your clients, worried about their safety, if clients are getting deported, if your friends or clients are are HIV positive and worried about not being able to get their medication in the future. I think I'm hearing you say that, you own these emotions. You kind of can wear them proudly to some degree, and it makes a lot of sense to be loving and caring and compassionate, and that's a huge part of who you are and probably your superpower. But that I think I'm hearing you say, and I wasn't quite sure where you landed, but that there's part of you that also doesn't want to be feeling these emotions maybe as intensely, or that wants to be able to, you said, sort of compartmentalize them. But I am, tell me if I'm right, but I'm hearing that you feel kind of torn, because on the one hand, it really makes a lot of sense to feel quite emotional under the circumstances and to feel worried about patients if they're being deported or being discriminated against. And then at the same time, you're just wanting to be able to talk about these feelings and thoughts with us, and maybe make sure that they're not, that they're kind of at the level that you'd want them at, and maybe not taking over. But maybe you can give me help, share, tell me more about that. And am I understanding you correctly?
Yeah, if you look at my brief mood survey, you know that I'm actually one of the happiest time of my life, because I've worked through a lot of things, and happy marriage, financially good. I love my career, and I love my friends and connection and my family. But I also noticed that whenever I see other people in the community suffering, and it's very sudden. Last year, it's very disturbing. It's very unpleasant. I'm debating how to manage that, because I also don't want to be. I want to have a good happy life, I also want to be compassionate with people.
Yeah.
And some of these feelings are real. Some of these signals are not distorted. So I just want to make sure that I optimize my happiness. Yeah. And one of the happiness is be compassionate to people too. That's one of my value in life. Yeah. And I'm focusing more on that now because I have a pretty decent life. I'm a meditator and Buddhist. I like to be compassionate to people. Even when I make fun of all of you, it's still a compassionate joke.
Even when you tease us, you're still doing it in a loving and kind and compassionate way.
Yeah, mostly.
Yeah, and maybe I was thinking in a minute, maybe we'll review your brief mood survey because usually we start with that. But just to kind of reiterate what you're saying, this is a really beautiful time in your life where you have this really happy marriage and this really fulfilling career and so many friends and colleagues and family that love you and are supportive of you, and in many ways the happiest you've ever been. But you're saying when you see people in your community suffering, and also I think it might be helpful for listeners for you to define what you mean by your community and talk a little bit more about that, because I think we might know what you're referring to, but I'm not sure others will. But it sounds like, again, you're feeling like it makes a lot of sense to feel that love and compassion for people who are suffering, and you're maybe even just wanting to share a lot of that and then to start to figure out, are any of these thoughts distorted, because you want to optimize your happiness and be as happy as you can under the circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? And maybe
yes.
could you tell people, when you say my community or the community, just say a little more about who you're feeling worried about, and yeah, you could even tell us a moment in time recently where you've felt stressed, so people can understand more what you're talking about. And then maybe we can go back, David, and go over his brief mood survey for the audience.
Sure. Perfect.
So my communities are people I interact with, including all of you. I think that it's normal to be stressed and anxious when there are a lot of changes, a lot of sudden change, a lot of not orderly changes. So I think most of my friends in Bay Areas are like very stressed about all the changes, including people who lost their job because they work at federal community, people, LGBT, especially people I can relate to that serve LGBTQ community, the immigrant community. Immigrants are afraid to use any public service list now because they're afraid that they'll get deported. And people are afraid that to speak up or to tell them how they feel, including me, because they don't want to talk about diversity. Yeah, and specifically to me, we can talk about it more in the Daily Mood Log. Is last week when I was teaching a diversity class about a real case of transgender Mexican American, as I talk about, I relate back to my own early experience being undocumented and immigrant, which I'm not used to. I used to be like Asian boy in China, Hong Kong, so I was the majority. So having those experiences really traumatized me. Mm-hmm. And when I hear dehumanizing comment from Trump about 10 years ago, I think, when he was running, about us being criminal rapists, I was shocked. But while I was discussing that, sharing that experience, I was tearing up. So I know that it wasn't completely healed, or I was more expressing of compassion and love. I don't know. That's why I'm trying to figure that out. Yeah.
And David, do you want to jump in here?
Yes, sure. I love how you're both doing, and I think like so many of us, Sonny, you're having strong feelings about the current political changes in our country, and that are especially disturbing to you because of your own personal history of being an undocumented immigrant and a boy from Hong Kong, from China, and although that's no longer your status, that you've devoted your career, especially since giving up, a pretty successful and easy life, or productive life as in the high tech, to start all over and to learn to get a social work degree and learn team CBT and learn how to help people, that you feel still a tremendous compassion toward people in your community. And your community is our community, which is the community of human beings, LGBTQ, undocumented immigrants, people from various countries. And we had kind of taken for granted that here in California we were experiencing the future. I've always been so proud of our Tuesday group as a multicolor group in multiple dimensions. Every sexual orientation and every country and every language. And now that it's virtual, people can attend from therapists from all around the world, and Pakistan and Israel or whatever, and learning to love life and the power that diversity actually brings to it. So it's like genetic diversity. When people intermarry outside of the family, it adds physical health and strength and intelligence to the human race. And when people get inbred with a lot of incest and breeding within a small group, it leads to mutations and mental problems and emotional problems, and monstrosities can emerge from that. And right now our country is trying to move in a direction of little or no diversity, and that anyone who's different is punished. And we all fear for ourselves being singled out and thrown in prison because we said the wrong thing. And it's so shocking to us, particularly because we've had it so good, and we took freedom of speech and expression for granted. But in addition to feeling tremendous sadness for the suffering of people who are being affected, you experience it in a personal way. And while you're hungry and eager to share these feelings of anger, of sadness, of fear, and loneliness, and isolation, and anxiety, and injustice, you're afraid too to express those feelings for fear of being singled out or punished in some way, as you experienced growing up in Hong Kong, which once had so much freedom and then suddenly lost it, and people were imprisoned for their political views. And things are happening so fast, and it's especially confusing to you because you've been courageous and fought so many of your own demons, and experience so much growth and independence in your life, first fearing to coming out when you were young as gay, and then deciding to pursue your own kind of career and kind of bucking the tide so many times, and having to confront that fear. And each time you've emerged as a more powerful and more peaceful, and you finally achieved a beautiful life. And now it's kind of being suddenly torn apart all around you. and you're feeling terrified and emotional, and I'll be glad to go over your mood log and your feelings, but you want to connect. Connection is so important to you, that much of the meaning of your life is love and compassion, and reaching out to others who are suffering, and dealing with your own suffering. And now there seems to be a war of the worlds. I'm probably overly dramatic, but it seems to be about good versus evil again, and that the two opposite ways of approaching life, and one of them, power is the thing, and there's a right way to think, and the powerful overcome the helpless, and dominate and get to write the rules and control. And those who are dedicated to empathy, to compassion, to love, to a vision of kindness and warmth, are those are the ones that are going to be squashed like ugly bugs. And this has got you freaked out, and wanting to talk, wanting to be vulnerable, wanting to open up and to embrace that love, and at the same time feeling terrified that if you do open up your arms, a boot is going to come and kick you hard right in the stomach.
Did you say Buddhist kicking?
A boot.
Yeah, that boot. Yeah, that's a Buddhist boot. I don't know. That was probably overly dramatic.
Well, I think it's exactly what I was thinking. I came out many times, actually. My sexual identity, my immigrant, undocumented immigrant, my career, my fear to be myself in general. I'm coming out to say, this is actually, I'm already doing some work by coming out here, expressing my concern and compassion for the world, and figure out how to work with people and integrate with people. It's not about, I also see a lot of ugliness on both extreme, where people just hate each other, and I don't think that's the solution. I actually have Trump supporter, I have right wing, left wing, and I try to listen to them, and whatever they're doing there must be a way that is nicer, more loving, more gentle, so that people who are more vulnerable, people who has a scar, people who has a wound, won't get hurt. I think people don't understand when they call certain folks snowflakes, is they're more vulnerable. They have a wound. So if you touch it a little bit, it hurts more. It's not about them not being strong. It's about being compassionate when how you would treat your family. If they had hurt a wound, you won't go. You have to be more careful. And while I know that I'm not a rapist or criminal, or I don't eat pets, it hurts to hear those, because that means that these people don't think we're human.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And I am angry. But I also don't want to be so angry that I shut everyone out, especially since I'm a therapist. I hear from all sides. Yeah. So, but I also know that by communicating with all sides and be loving, they're more open to changes. I actually do see the points of some of what they're saying. I'm not disagreeing with our immigration policy. I'm not disagreeing with some extreme thoughts. But I just want people to be kinder and nice and more compassionate.
And
they're not. That one is
Sunny for president.
No, I don't think so.
But I mean, honestly, I'm just so touched by what you're saying, Sunny. I mean, I'm sort of teasing saying Sunny for president, but it is so beautiful and heartwarming and refreshing just to hear what you're saying. Even, just thinking about how people who are vulnerable, need sort of like extra sensitive treatment, right? And that's kind of the opposite is what's happening, right? And your wish and desire for everyone to just be treated as human beings, right? With
I remember how I treat myself
and sensitivity. Yeah, 100%.
I remember how I treat myself in the Asian way of doing things. Just suck it up and keep going. Yeah, don't be weak, and It doesn't work. Yeah.
Right, and it just causes
for me
more harm.
It doesn't work for me and many people, so I think people need to be understanding that we are not all the same.
Yeah.
It's sad that it's kind of not an easy sell these days. The world seems to be moving more toward kick ass and hatred and the joy of exploiting others and punishing others and hurting others and taking the land of others, and as you say, dehumanizing people and viewing them as monsters. We had Ton twice on our program last December, approximately. He's an ordained Buddhist monk, a young fellow from New Jersey, and he was just a joy to be around. And he's really pursuing the Buddhist way of life, and eating whatever people will give him, and sleeping wherever he can find a place to put his head down. But I mentioned to him that we had a mouse somehow got into our house, and the cat spotted it and got very excited and tried to capture it. And the mouse is very good at climbing up walls, and we didn't know what to do because we didn't want the mouse in our house and hiding around places and pooping all over the place. But at the same time, we didn't have the heart to get a mouse trap and smash it with some killing hammer thing with a spring on it. Seems horrible because we felt sorry for the little guy. It probably sounds ridiculous, but I mean, he was very clever and he was trying very hard to survive. And he finally found a way to hide in our kitchen under the sink. And then Melanie would put nuts under there for him because she knew where he was hiding, and then they'd be gone in the morning. And we didn't know what to do. And then we found out from somebody that there's actually a way you can have a mouse trap that doesn't kill the mouse. And we started putting that out, bought them on Amazon and put several of them out every night, and finally caught one. And then Melanie was so excited, and he said he was so scared he was almost flattened against the wall. He was trying to make himself look invisible. And then she was able, to take him out into the backyard and set him free in the backyard. And he shot out of there like a rocket ship. And then she brought down a plate and put a lot of different kinds of peanuts there. And then noticed the next morning they were gone. And I mentioned this to Ton, and he said, yeah, and the teaching thing there that people don't understand is how cool and awesome it feels to give a little life to a mouse or to anything. And then, I really got what he was saying because there was so much fun in finding a way to save that little guy. And, I don't know how his life finally ended up, but he finally got a lot of food and the freedom to be no longer, trapped in a alien and dangerous house with a cat in it. But anyway, that's kind of what our side has to offer, the joys of love and compassion. And when I see someone like you, Sonny, who's so compassionate, and you, Jill, who's so filled with love and kindness and compassion and warmth and connection for people who are suffering, and you too, Rhonda, for your kindness and gentleness. I'm just very grateful for what I've learned from you folks. But it's very hard and shocking for me and for my wife too, to turn on the news and see the things that are terrifying and sickening. And certainly you say anger is a part of it, healthy anger for sure, Sonny. But it's just stunning and mind blowing, and we can only hope and pray that our democracy somehow survives. But throughout history, there have been times of cruelty and dark ages, and just people. That's why I go with Freud. This is all bullshit and theoretical, but what I love about Freud is he said that the evil side is inherent to human nature. It's not a secondary artifact. And that love is also basic to human nature. And there are those two forces fighting. And right now, those forces of darkness seem to be prevailing and spreading and gaining in power. And it's a really terrifying. We never thought it would happen here in America. And this is probably too political, what I'm saying, but it's emotionally upsetting for me too, and for Melanie, my wife, and for our kids, and that there's a lot of people suffering a lot. And I'd be glad to go over your brief mood survey and daily mood log too. If that would be available.
Yeah, let's go over it. Yeah.
Okay. Let me start with your brief mood survey, which is just a way of knowing how people are feeling at the beginning and end of a session. And your score on the depression test, which goes from 0 to 20, was 3, indicating that you're kind of in the range of normal there. But the 2 that are elevated are sad and down in the dumps and discouraged or hopeless. And I would say I'd probably score those about the same as you, Sonny. And then the suicidal urges are all 0. But the anxiety is much higher. It's 15, 3, 6, 9, 12. Yeah, 15 out of 20, I believe.
It looks like 10 out of 20. They're moderates on 2.
Oh, yeah. So right? that would be 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And let's say they were all, oh no, those are 2s. Oh yeah, 10, right. Yeah, right. Yeah. Halfway up. Thank you. Yeah. Well, at my age, arithmetic gets harder. And so you're moderately anxious. It's not a panicked or extreme or anything like that, but it's moderate level of anxiety. And then anger and frustration is 10 out of 20. Again, moderately elevated. And then happiness, which can go from on this scale from 0 to 20, is let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 16 out of 20. Let's see, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, 16. And so while it's not terribly low, like a lot of people have a 0 or a 1 or a 2 on this scale, it's there are 2 categories that are being marked down, and that's happy and joyful is moderate, but not a lot, and not extreme, and hopeful and optimistic kind of is down in the moderate range, also reflecting kind of the mirror image of your depression test. And then the relationship satisfaction with your wonderful partner, Mitch, and please give him my regards, is 18 out of 20, not a perfect score, but pretty damn high. And then you had done a moderate amount of psychotherapy homework prior to this session. And I'll give you both a chance to comment on that, and then when you're ready, I'll be glad to go over the daily mood log.
Can I say something first?
Yes.
So, Mitch, if you're listening to this podcast, I read that you're very satisfied, but you can always be better because it's not perfect.
You got a
Sorry,
28 out of 30 there, actually.
Yeah,
what I calculated.
Yeah, I'm Asian, so you need to have perfect score. Sorry.
Okay, so where you need to improve a little, Mitch, is resolving conflicts and intimacy and openness.
So I'm always right. I'll talk about offline about the other one. Yeah.
So I commend you, Mitch, to be resolve conflicts better, use the 5 secrets more, and be more.
No. I'm always right. Sunny's always right.
Notice that Sunny's always right. Okay.
I was very torn when I filled out this brief mood survey because I don't usually feel very sad because I'm doing very well in life. Mm-hmm. But I noticed when we talk about earlier, the last 20 minutes, mm-hmm. if I were to score it, it would be like extremely in all of them because I'm very sad. Mm-hmm. But the other ones, and then hopeful and optimistic, I actually think moderately is good because I think I had to be realistic.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And happy and joyful is kind of torn, and maybe there's something to talk about. It's almost like I'm doing well. I'm in a buffet of life, and then I'm next to someone who is starving. I don't know what to say. Yeah, I don't know what to put. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think you did a great job, Sunny. And then on the daily mood log, the upsetting event is teaching a class last Thursday while discussing a case about a Mexican-American transgender male. And talking to classmates, I started tearing up, recalling my own experiences. And then at that point, you were feeling sad, down, and unhappy, 70 on a scale from 0 to 100. And then anxious and nervous, 40 on a scale of 0 to 100. And then unloved, unwanted, rejected, and alone, 50 on the same scale of 0 to 100. And hopeless, discouraged, and pessimistic, again, 50 on the 0 to 100 scale. Frustrated, 50. And anger was the strongest one, which would be maybe a little unique to you, Sunny, because you're not typically the most overtly angry guy around by a long shot. But you rated anger, resentment, annoyed, irritated, and upset as 80 on a 0 to 100 scale. And so, your scores, I would say, are in the walking wounded range. Again, you have a capacity for great joy and feeling loved and cared about and excited about life and, grateful for all that you've accomplished and how beautiful your life has become, but with moments of pretty intense sadness and despair and anger. And also confusion about how you're supposed to feel or how you can be helpful for people and not even sure it's safe to open up, even perhaps in this forum. And then your thoughts, number one, the world is much more unstable and dangerous now. You believe that 70 to 100, and I think I would personally rate that one 100. Myself personally, and then number two, I'm finally in a safe place, and now things will be a lot worse, and that you believe 100, and they lied and harmed people like me, and you believe that 100, and I believe that thought is true, 100. And they hate people like me, and you put 60. I'd be tempted to, I don't know who they are, but many human beings hate people like me who are different, and I mean, that you only rated that 60. To me, it looks a lot like another 100. And then many people will be harmed and abused, and you believe that 90. And I can't protect these people, 50. I can't believe this is happening again, 80. People will send me hate mails for speaking up, 60. They will never understand what we are going through, 80, and I can't help them, and I don't know if you say you can't help the haters, or you can't help those who are struggling. Probably you can't help the haters, and you believe that one, 80, and
I mean both, actually. I mean both.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and when you, just Sunny, so I understand the thoughts a little better too, because there are a lot of theys and thems here. And I just want to ask you, on number 3, you said they lied and harmed people like me. You're referring to, like, who's the they? Who are you thinking of when you're having that thought?
That's why I'm confused to what to put, because basically the current president,
Okay.
but also people who follow them, like a cult, like every word he said. And when they say that they are just hyperbole, he doesn't mean what he said.
So it's kind of like the president and his protector.
It's like when someone yell, right? Like when I have experienced trauma, when people yell and scream at you, and then after that they say, "Oh, they don't mean what they say. Right. They really love you."
Right.
I mean, well, sometimes it's not the intent. Well, first of all, it may be the intent, but even if it's not intent, the harm is done. Is the results of how it hurts people, especially people who are vulnerable. I am that person. That comment is the most. That thought is the most, like, even tear me up earlier when David talk about they lied and harmed people like me.
Yeah.
Because it really is not true. I am not a criminal and rapist. I know he is not talking about me directly, but I also know a lot of people who are immigrants and undocumented immigrants. We are scared to be upfront, like that rat you're talking about.
Yeah.
I don't want to compare us to rat, but so for most of us, we don't want to do anything criminal. We can't even work in certain places like bank. My mom used to be a banker. When she come here, she cannot be a bank because it's illegal to do that. Apparently, like certain jobs. So
what is it you can't do?
Like be in the banking industry.
Banking. Oh, she's not allowed to work.
At least at that point, yeah, she used to work in the bank, pretty high position, and when she came here for different reasons, she can't do that. Yeah, from Hong Kong. Yeah. So to say that we are rapers and criminal and eat cats or dogs
is lying.
It's bullying. It's bullying.
Yeah.
And that's not okay.
Yeah.
Even if he doesn't mean it. I don't know what that means. That's what I hear from the people I counsel with, who is on that side. And that's not okay. And would you like your kids be taught like that? So, but you turn on the TV and that's all you hear. And of course, people fight back. And I don't like to hear those too, because they also distorted on the to the extreme.
Right.
So I'm more moderate, really. I'm a peacemaker in general.
Right.
I'm feeling like I'm torn on both sides, but one on the bully, the other fight back, and it's very sad, but it's very harmful too. To mental health. I think a lot of people are very stressed right now because of this. I don't turn on the TV. I don't turn on the video. I don't even listen to late night show because they talk about those too. So where do I go? I just watch funny shows, and I just watch, I don't know, Korean series, and at least those are not happening now. Even though they're based on true, some of those, like watch a Succession. There's a lot of dark side of human too, but it's at least it's not happening to me and people I love. And people I love is not just undocumented LGBTQ, but just the world, the whole country. Like it's very mean. Yeah.
There's a separation from all of us. There's a lack of understanding that almost every American, unless we're Native American, is a child of an immigrant.
Yeah.
And so
it's not just an immigrant. I know. I grew up. I know that the darker immigrant are being picked on. I have like popular immigrant from Europe who are blonde. They're not being picked on. So I don't think it's just immigrant or even undocumented immigrant. But that's just my own experience. I grew up in Hong Kong. I was the majority. I've seen people, I even think like them, that other people who are different, darker, being discriminated. So let's just be open about that. Yeah. Like, I don't think people have problem with Norwegian immigrant. I never heard about that. Yeah. It's the Asian immigrant who eats hot dogs and cats. And that's kind of very angry because I grew up in that environment in a Chinese household or Asian household. I know it's not right. So I still have some of those internal racism, but let's just be open. That's racism. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And can I ask you, Sunny, how do you think, how are you feeling like we're doing on empathy? It's kind of like, I just want to check in with you at this point. Are you feeling understood by us? Are you feeling some sense of warmth and connection? Is there more that you would want to share so that we would understand?
No, I think we are, first of all, I love all three of you, and I naturally can connect with all of you. And in general, I'm very vulnerable and I'm very open to connect with people. So I'm feeling the empathy right from the start. That's why when I'm in this mode, I'm very sad now because I'm open to you three. And now that I realize to the rest of the world about my raw, vulnerable side, about how I care about people. But it comes from love and compassion. I don't think it's okay. But it's my work on coming out now on this part of me.
Yeah. Are you feeling tearful a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit. Emotional? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because these are unpleasant emotions, so I'm just being more genuine. Maybe, not like last week when I was talking about it, although I haven't talked about it yet. So about at the training, I was like really tearing up. But the audience seems to appreciate that. Yeah,
totally. I know when you said that you're feeling very vulnerable and open, and almost as if you had to justify it, because I feel comfortable with you guys, but it's my, favorite thing about you, Sunny. And, my favorite thing about most people is an ability to be open and vulnerable and to share openly and have tears and, to share those feelings with us.
Yeah. And I had a lot of work on it because I grew up in a vulnerable situation and my mom is very good. Well, expert in not showing your weakness. Probably Asian immigrant thing too. You just look for it and don't show any signs of weakness. Maybe I'm a little bit sensitive to the strong man type of culture too, because I was taught to learn that. I tried. It's not me, maybe for some other people. I tried corporately, it didn't work either. So I just be myself and seems to do well for the 20 years I was in tech.
So let me ask you a question here, Sunny, and I don't mean to make things overly technical, but sometimes, a grade can reveal things that we might overlook. But if you were going to grade us in 3 areas on empathy, on an A, a B, a C, or whatever, one would be, how accurately are we understanding your thoughts? That would be the first part. Secondly, how accurately are we understanding how you're feeling inside? And then the third thing would be, to what extent are we creating a feeling of acceptance and safety and feeling cared about?
So acceptance and feeling cared about is A plus. Maybe with once we go over the detail on the daily mood log, there'll be additional understanding with my thoughts and feelings. But so far, very good. Yeah, excellent. Yeah.
So, is there anything that we've missed or overlooked that's going on that feels important?
I'm a little confused. I don't think it's overlooked. Jill mentioned. I'm a little confused on how to manage these feelings because they are very strong feelings. But I'm doing very well in life, so I'm kind of confused. I'm laughing because I'm nervous on what to do with it. Yeah.
It seems to me, Sunny, I think I mentioned this earlier, but I think this will be part of the work today, is helping you to understand, it just seems like so many of your feelings and thoughts are really very justified, and they show such a beautiful side of you. And so I imagine when we get to what we call the agenda setting section in team, I mean, I know you know it, for the listeners, but when we get there, that'll be what we'll need to figure out with you, right? Is how do you want to feel? And, right? Where do you want to land? Because you say you feel confused or maybe torn between thinking it makes so much sense and I don't want to give up any of these tiers, this love and this compassion that I have for others. But then part of you is wondering, is it too much? Do I need to figure out how to manage it better? Do I need to compartmentalize better? That's kind of what I heard you saying earlier today. Is that what you mean when you say you feel confused?
Yeah. And maybe some guilt. Because I grew up.
Tell us about your guilt.
I'm a boy, Asian Chinese boy who's favored. So I got a lot of perks, especially growing up in the family. So sometimes I see my relatives or my siblings suffer because they're not in the same position, and they even compare me with them and say, look, you should be like Sunny. So I feel kind of guilty when I see me having a happy, joyful life while seeing a lot of people suffering.
And
I don't know how to.
I wonder if I could ask you something here. That's so important what you're saying now, Sunny, because you rated your guilt as 0. Could we re-rate it?
Yeah, now, because when I was feeling it, I didn't think about that. Yeah, maybe like 40. Yeah, I think work on my guilt a lot, like with my own therapist. But yeah, still 40. Yeah.
Right. And what's the thought that makes you guilty? We can add that as number 11 on the back of your daily mood log.
I'm living a happy life while many are suffering.
Or maybe it's a should statement. I shouldn't be living such a happy life while others are suffering.
Is it hidden should?
Yeah, that's a hidden should, but the should is a strong word because I think I should be happy. so that's why I'm torn, right? Part of me is maybe that 40% think that should help other people first before being happy. Yeah.
So I have two should statements. I'm living a happy life when others are suffering. And what's the belief in that, in the sense that I shouldn't be living such a happy life?
As happy, maybe? As happy? Wait.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say happy. I shouldn't be enjoying my life as much. And I mean like going to vacation and going out, eating out while others are suffering. Yeah. But I fundamentally 100% think I should be having a happy life. Yeah. But I shouldn't be enjoying
how much do you
pleasure.
believe that?
It's not the happiness that I shouldn't be, it's pleasure.
It shouldn't be feeling pleasure when others are suffering.
As pleasurable. Yeah. Because I very much distinguish pleasure versus happiness. Yeah. Pleasure is like feeling good, food, going out, sex, and all that stuff. But happiness is just, fulfilling life. And I think I should always having a fulfilling life. Yeah.
So how much do you believe, I shouldn't have pleasure and going out to dinner and enjoying?
As much, yeah. As much. Maybe 70%, yeah.
70%. And then how much do you believe the other thought is number 12? There was something about helping others. I should be helping others more or something.
I should be helping others more, yeah.
Okay. And then what's the belief on that one?
80%.
Yeah. Helping others more, 80%. And now let me ask you if a kind of miracle occurred here in today's session, what miracle would you be hoping for, or do you just more want to keep talking and have us listen, because that's incredibly helpful and important as well. So let me change my question. So would there be something in what you've been talking about that you would like some help with?
Be more clear about what's appropriate amount of these negative emotions. Okay. And some of these thoughts are not, many of these thoughts are not distorted.
Yeah.
While there are some exaggeration, maybe like intensity, for some, how do I distinguish those two? And on the behavior side, how do I compartmentalize without avoiding too much? Yeah.
And so would there be another general negative thought along the lines is, I have to figure out just the correct way to think and feel?
Yes.
That's number 13, and you can write that down too.
That's a big perfectionistic part of me too.
Yeah. Figure out the correct way to think and feel. And then what's the belief in that one?
I worked on that already, so it's about 50% still. Yeah.
50%. Okay.
It used to be a lot higher.
Yeah. Okay. That's great. And then what would be if at the end of the session today you said, boy, that was really a great session, that helped a lot, and we knocked it out of the park. What change would happen by the end of today's session?
I'll go party with three of you.
I do what?
Partying with three of you.
Party with the three of us.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Well, we always do that at the end of therapy sessions with our patients. That's a new rule for therapists.
What change?
In case you're afraid of being too ethical. I'm just being nutty at the moment.
Maybe just a little, I don't know. I'm just doing a Freudian thought. Just more peaceful, that we'll be okay. But
Okay.
do something. We'll be okay, but do something. Yeah.
Be more peaceful and do something.
And said we'll be okay.
Yeah.
You're saying to feel more peaceful, to have hope that we're going to be okay while still maintaining my drive to do something. Is that what I understood?
Yeah, exactly.
Again, it's like this balance that you're seeking, where you're saying I'd feel more peaceful because I'd feel more hopeful that things are going to be okay, and while still maintaining a decent amount of anxiety so that I could do something.
And finally be proud of who I am and what I stand for.
Okay, that's a great goal. Be proud of who I am, and what I stand for.
Is it okay to add another one or too much?
No, that's the premium edition. You're on the Econo plan.
Okay, well I'll
lay it on
buy
us.
you a drink.
Yeah.
This is the hard one. This is the hard one. Try to be loving and compassionate to people who doesn't have the same belief.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. To people who don't have the same beliefs. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good wish list for the session. The goal is to feel more peaceful and have hope while keeping my drive to do something to be helpful. Be proud of who I am and what I stand for. And try to be loving and compassionate to people who don't have the same beliefs that I do. Is that right?
Yes.
And so I'll turn this over to Jill, who is going to teach us how to turn this into a magic button question.
This has been another episode of the Feeling Good podcast. For more information, visit Dr. Burns' website at feelinggood.com, where you will find the show notes under the podcast page. You will also find archives of previous episodes and many resources for therapists and non-therapists. We welcome your comments and questions. If you want to support the show, please share the podcast with people who might benefit from it. You could also go to iTunes and leave a 5-star rating. I am your host, Rhonda Borowski, the director of the Feeling Great Therapy Center. We hope you enjoyed this episode. I invite you to join us next time for another episode of the Feeling Good podcast.